Okay, now I will share application of machine learning in forensic psychology. Vishal, this is visible to you?
Yes, sir, this is visible.
Okay, so please you read it.
Sure, sir. Um, Applications of ML in forensic psychology. Machine learning has numerous applications in forensic psychology, including predictive recidivism. ML algorithms can analyze data on offenders' characteristics, behavior, and crime patterns to predict the likelihood of recidivism. For example, suppose a researcher wants to predict the likelihood of recidivism among offenders released from prison. So they collect data on various factors, including age, crime type, sentence length, prior convictions. Using a machine learning algorithm such as logistic regression or random forest, they analyze the data and identify the most important predictors of recidivism. The model can then be used to predict the likelihood of recidivism for new offenders. ML can help assess the risk of violence, sexual offending, or other harmful behaviors in individuals.
Yeah, so recidivism means the crime occurred repeatedly by the criminal. So when the criminal is released from the prison, again there is a chance to commit some crime. So machine learning can predict, that is, whether there is a chance or not. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Now, Mona Lisa, please you did it. Crime scene analysis.
Analysis. ML can analyze crime scene data such as DNA, fingerprints, and other evidence to identify patterns and connections. For example, a mental health professional wants to assess the risk of violence in a patient. They collect data on various factors, including patient's medical history, behavioral patterns, social and environmental factors. Using a machine learning algorithm such as decision trees or support vector machines, they analyze the data and identify the most important predictors of violence. The model can then be used to predict the likelihood of violence in the patient.
Okay. So related to the crime scene analysis, this is very, very important because in crime scene, you have to find out the individual characteristics as well as the physical characteristics like the location where the crime occurred. Okay. And the modus operandi that is used by the criminal. Okay. So you have to collect all the data And then it is your function to explore that particular crime scene that happened in reality. So it is your function to collect all the data. And these data are vital: patient medical history, behavioral patterns, social and environmental factors. Next, Vishal.
Yes.
Number 4.
Deception detection. ML-powered lie detection systems can analyze verbal and non-verbal cues to detect deception. For example, suppose a researcher wants to develop a lie detection system using machine learning. They collect data on various factors, including verbal cues, such as speech patterns, tone, non-verbal cues, body language, facial expressions. Using a machine learning algorithm, such as neural networks or gradient boosting, they analyze data and identify the most important predictors of deception. The model can then be used to detect deception in real time.
Yeah, so deception is another major problem in forensic psychology research. Deception is very common nowadays, and people often use deception to maintain the privacy. And if you want to find out whether the individual makes any deception or not, so if you have the data about the speech patterns, tone, and the body language, facial expressions, if you have that data, then by using some of the stimulus, outside stimulus, you can find out whether the concerned individual makes any deception or not. So that is possible. In the Department of Psychology, Calcutta University, there is one study on the deception. Okay. Now Mona Lisa 5.
Yes, sir. Personality profiling, ML can analyze data on an individual's behavior, preferences, and demographic characteristics to create a personality profile. For example, suppose a researcher wants to develop a personality profiling system using machine learning. They collect data on various factors, including behavioral patterns, for example, social media activity, purchasing habits, demographic characteristics, example, age, location, psychological assessments, example, personality traits and cognitive abilities, using a machine learning algorithm such as clustering or sir,
Dimensionality
dimensionality
reduction.
dimensionality reduction. They analyze the data and identify patterns and connections between the individual's behavior, preferences, and demographic characteristics. Sir?
Okay. Yeah, this is okay. That means Dimension reduction, it is vital because you have the huge data and you have the multidimensional data about the behavioral patterns like social media activity, purchasing habit, demographic characteristics, psychological assessment. So you have many data and multidimensional data. So there is a high probability for the redundancy. What is redundancy? That means you may measure same variable in different names. So that will be considered as the redundant. So in order to reduce the redundancy and to minimize the number of variables into a very meaningful manner, you can use the principal component analysis. And based upon that principal component analysis, you can use some of the clustering technique for classification of the people. Okay. So personality variables, it does not mean only the results based upon the standard personality questionnaire. It includes behavioral patterns, demographic characteristics. Okay. Now Vishal 6.
Next, eyewitness identification. ML can improve eyewitness identification procedures by analyzing facial recognition data and reducing false positives. Suppose a researcher wants to develop an eyewitness identification system using machine learning. They collect data on various factors, including facial recognition data, eyewitness descriptions, suspect information. Using a machine learning algorithm such as convolutional neural networks for transfer learning, they analyze the data and identify the most important predictors of accurate eyewitness identification.
Yeah. So eyewitness identification, that is also very much challenging. Usually the victims, they are requested if they could draw, that is, please you draw the offender. And if it is not possible, researcher asks some of the questions to the victim, and based upon the victim's answer, researcher, by using the machine learning, design the picture and repeatedly ask the victim, that is, whether the person's feature is similar to that particular person who is supposed to be the criminal or who is supposed to committed commit the uh, crime. Okay. So in this manner, by repeated checking through the machine learning procedure, Machine learning can identify the person feature about the specific characteristics through which the victim can recognize the offender. Okay. Now it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Now we shall cybercrime.
Cybercrime investigation. ML can analyze network traffic, system logs, evidence to identify patterns and track down cybercriminals. Suppose a cybersecurity researcher wants to develop a system to detect and track down cybercriminals. They collect data on various factors, including network traffic patterns, system logs, digital evidence, such as malware, phishing emails. Using machine learning algorithms such as anomaly detection or clustering, they analyze the data and identify patterns and connections between the network traffic, system logs, and digital evidence.
Okay. That is cybercrime that can be investigated through the machine learning. And for that reason, researcher has to collect the data about network traffic patterns, system log, malware, phishing emails, etc. Now Mona Lisa 8.
Mental health assessment. ML powered tools can analyze data on mental health symptoms, behavior, and demographic characteristics to assess mental health risks. Suppose a researcher wants to develop a mental health assessment tool using machine learning. They collect data on various factors, including mental health symptoms, example, anxiety and depression, behavioral pattern, example, social media activity, sleep patterns, demographic characteristics, example, age, location. Using a machine learning algorithm such as decision trees or random forest, they analyze the data and identify the most important predictors of mental health risks.
Okay, so if you want to do the mental health assessment, usually we follow only the what Sanjeev Jana has written, Para?
Sir, he's telling that he can't join the class today.
Okay. You just write down, please follow the YouTube. So related to
Yes.
the mental health assessment, earlier we collect data through the questionnaire related to the anxiety or the depression. But nowadays, by using the machine learning, we have to consider other data like the behavioral patterns and demographic characteristics, lifestyle, so all the issues that will be included in the mental health assessment. Now Vishal 9.
Yes. Juvenile justice risk assessment. ML can analyze data on juvenile offenders to predict the likelihood of recidivism and identify areas of intervention. Here is an example of juvenile justice risk assessment. Suppose a juvenile justice agency wants to develop a risk assessment tool to predict the likelihood of recidivism among juvenile offenders. They collect data on various factors, including age, crime type, prior offenses, family background, mental health history. Using a machine learning algorithm such as random forest or gradient boosting, they analyze the data and identify the most important predictors of recidivism. The model can then be used to predict the likelihood of recidivism for new juvenile offenders and identify areas for intervention. For instance, the model might predict that a 16-year-old male with a history of violent offenses and a dysfunctional family background has a high risk of recidivism. Based on these predictions, the agency can provide targeted interventions such as counseling and family therapy to reduce the likelihood of recidivism.
So recidivism is a major problem, particularly for the juvenile people, because sometimes their crime activities are rewarded by the people around. Okay, their criminal activities, that is also rewarded. Therefore, they are not able to understand whether they committed crime or not. Therefore, they need some counseling. They need the counseling, psychotherapy, specifically to control the recidivism. Okay. Therefore, you have to collect the data about the age of the juveniles, their types of crime, prior offenses, family background, and mental health history. You have to collect all of them. And after that, you have to find out the relationship among these variables. And based upon the machine learning, you can predict, that is, whether there is any chance of recidivism or not. So Monalisha 10.
Forensic test analysis. Machine learning can analyze test data such as emails, social media posts, and documents to detect deception, identify authorship, and extract relevant information. Example, suppose a forensic investigator wants to analyze a suspicious email to determine whether it's phishing attempt. They collect data on various factors including email content, sender's IP address, time of sending, recipient's email address. Using a machine learning algorithm such as natural language processing (NLP) or text classification, they analyze the data and identify patterns indicative of phishing attempts. The model can then be used to classify the email as either legitimate or phishing.
Yeah, so often we find some of the malware attached with the mail. So that can be detected through the machine learning. And for that reason, these data are vital. That is email content, sender's IP address, type of time of sending, and recipient's email address. Through this, one can find out who has sent the malware, who has sent the phishing, and to whom, and how it spreads around many people. Okay, so this is all about the application of machine learning in forensic psychology. Vishal, this is clear? Any
Yes.
question?
Sir, I just wanted to check one thing with you. So there were different techniques mentioned for under each point.
Hmm.
So is there a particular reason, or these techniques can be interchanged for different purposes?
No, it is very important. For example, random forest model, that is vital,
Mm,
and the dimension reduction techniques, that is vital, clustering, that is also vital. So there are a lot of the machine learning tools are there. They are the statistical tools, and you have to learn it, neural network model, and it will take some time to learn all the machine learning tools. Okay,
okay,
it
sir.
takes some time, for that is in separate class only for neural network. If I want to teach you, it will take 1 month.
Okay, sir.
Random forest model, again it will take 1 month. So here you have the knowledge about which statistical tools can be used for which purpose.
Mm, mm,
In near future, when I will teach, then you can learn it.
sure, sir. Understood.
So Mona Lisa, it is clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Now, thank you. So now I
Thank,
am closing.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.